Welcome to the Make the World a Better Place podcast. I'm your host, Shanice Harris, and this season we'll meet leaders with connections to Girl Scouts serving in our community and beyond. Together, we'll hear stories from Girl Scout alum and their adult supporters who are making the world a better place using their courage, confidence, and character. This is the Make the World a Better Place podcast. Welcome to the Make the World a Better Place podcast. I'm your host, Shanice Harris, and we're back with a mom and daughter duo, Edwina and Isabella Gonzalez. They both have a long history with Girl Scouts of the Colonial Coast, and let's get to know them. Welcome, Edwina and Isabella.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. I want to tell your stories individually, but also share a bit about how you've come together as a team to form a team several years ago that's still running strong. So let's get started with some introductions. Isabella, you spent several years in the program as a Girl Scout, and you even earned your Gold Award. Can you share how many years you were in the Girl Scout program and then what you're up to today?
I've been a Girl Scout for 20 years, but 11 years as a girl. Started out as a brownie in the second grade all the way through graduation. Now I live in Washington, D.C. As a structural engineer, working on buildings out here. But I still make it back to Virginia Beach and helping out with that team that you mentioned.
And Edwina, can you please tell me about how many years you've been a volunteer? And did you happen to be involved in the program in your youth?
Yes, I think I was a Girl Scout for 3 years as a junior, and then when my daughter when we were looking for a Girl Scout troop, I decided I was going to be the leader. So I have been with Girl Scouts as a volunteer for 20 years, 11 years as a leader of a troop. And then during that time, I helped start the Blazing Blue Herons canoe team. And I'm still involved with Girl Scouts with the Blazing Blue Herons canoe team.
Such a valuable asset to our team. We love you as a volunteer. And can you tell me why, when you initially made that leap? I know you said you were a Girl Scout for a few years in your youth. What made you make that jump for your family? How did you know Girl Scouts was right?
Well, I enjoyed Girl Scouts as a girl. And the school I attended had Girl Scouts after school, but only for a few years. And then there wasn't the opportunity to continue on. And I knew about the program. I knew how important it was. My brothers were in Boy Scouts, and then my oldest two were in the Boy Scouts. So I just wanted that for Isabella to be in Girl Scouts because I knew the principles were the same, but Girl Scouts are different and girls learn differently. And I wanted a safe place for her to develop and, um, learn leadership skills, entrepreneurial skills, be involved with the community, and have many opportunities. And I knew Girl Scouts would provide that.
And Isabella, was mission successful? What were some of the highlights of your journey?
I do think it was successful. Girl Scouts was very big for me through all of my developmental years through growing up. Um, from everything from starting from the troop itself, which I was very lucky as a troop with the experience we were able to have. I know that part of it is down to an incredible leader in my mom, but I also was very grateful for the girls in our troop. We all really wanted to have new experiences. We all loved to travel. We all understood the importance of community service, and luckily we all had some type of leaning towards STEM, which was pretty important to have those same connections, I think. And of course, we loved the outdoors. And so, even though we had some of those choices helping out earlier, we started making choices for ourselves pretty early on in the troop. So from going to Savannah, Georgia, but making sure that we made it to Tybee Island to see a barrier island, or going to New York and seeing Wicked, which just came out, and being part of a Girl Scout experience through Wicked, where we were able to learn some of the choreography and some of those things when I was like, what, in 4th or 5th grade still like are part of me now.
Wow.
I know. I wish I could go back and see it again on stage. Um, but even like beyond that, it's like we took a trip to Toronto and then saw Niagara Falls and was able to experience the 100th anniversary up in Niagara being part of Rock the Falls, which is on the border of Canada. Or we went to Nantucket and Cape Charles, and skied in the Poconos. So I was really lucky with my troop. Um, and then volunteering, we did everything from feeding the homeless to being part of a beach cleanup, and also being part of one of the few troops that were helped clean the Grace Sherwood statue, which at the time, I don't know if that's still true, was the only statue in Virginia Beach that was cleaned by Girl Scouts and not Boy Scouts.
I
And
did not
so
know that.
I don't know if that's still true, but Grace Sherwood, who is the Witch of Pungo, and was like that was all like experiences growing up with that community service and the importance of that. And I was able even to volunteer abroad. There's a Girl Guide jamboree in Birmingham, England, that I was a staff volunteer my sophomore year of high school, which me and one of the other girls in my troop, we went out to London for a week and then volunteered in Birmingham at the camp there with Girl Guides and Girl Scouts from around the world. Which with the team, they were able to go back and I was able to volunteer once again, just a couple years ago, actually. So that was pretty incredible. And then what other experiences highlight my Girl Scout journey would be I did quite a few Girl Scout destinations. So one of the big things I think Girl Scout helps with is not just leadership, which I know I learned so many of my skills for leadership and social skills with selling Girl Scout cookies, um, and community service, was being able to step out of my comfort zone, doing something up beyond the troop and doing something that I was really interested in, or going to a place I've never heard of before. Like I went to the Grand Tetons to their science school in middle school through the Girl Scout destinations, and I got to learn about wildlife for over a week and camp out in Grand Tetons and Yellowstone and see animals I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity to, which was incredible. And I was able to go to the Islands, which is off the coast of Santa Barbara in California. It's considered the Galapagos of North America. And we got to snorkel through kelp forests and kayak and hike to a beach that was so remote no one else could get to without camping on the island first. Um, and when I turned 18 during the winter break of my senior year of high school in Chile through a Girl Scout destination. So those were all really important. And then I'm sure you want to know, I did get my gold award. um, we, as a troop, volunteered often with my church growing up, helping out with feeding the homeless. But I also volunteered with that church a lot as well, just not through Girl Scouts, but as myself. Um, and we had a food pantry that was really helpful. But I had noticed that a lot of the food there was non-perishable. The few times would have perishable food, it would be at the end of the shelf life that was donated by local grocery stores. And so I wanted to make sure the importance of like having fresh food and the nutrition of anyone is really important. And so having the ability to go and talk to my priest about it, and we were able to build 6 raised beds to grow like tomatoes. There was potatoes. There was an herb garden, peppers, all items that would be really hard to get through the food pantry without the opportunity to start that garden. And I know that it started a ministry at the church, and some of those ladies at the church that had a green thumb took it over as I graduated and went off to college. And to this day, that garden is still there. And I like when I visit back home, we'll drive by and I can see the status of the garden, see what's growing.
I love how much passion and conviction you have when talking about both the fun experiences you had as a Girl Scout, the volunteer opportunities you've had, but it all seems like it comes back to giving back for you. And I think that's what's important. And another thing I noted about what you said is that it's been girl led. A lot of times when we find that the longevity of a troop sticks around into those high school years, it's when the program is really what the troop wanted it to be. It's girl led, and you're having these adventures that you're recounting 8, 10 years later with so much passion. And that says a lot to me. And thank you for sharing about your Girl Scout Gold Award. That was going to be my next question. So let's talk a bit about the Blazing Blue Herons. Isabel, can you tell me a bit about what it was like those early days? And Edwina, feel free to jump in. How has the program evolved from 2010 to now?
It's been incredible to watch the growth. I remember it started with, I think, wanting those outdoor experiences, and it started with like there used to be only an archery one, and I remember when became an archery two, and it was just like growing on that. And so this was that next step for canoeing. It was okay, you want to have more experiences on the water, how do we do that? And the team started as a new experience, but really turned into becoming an athlete of the sport of canoeing, which is very wild to think that that's an opportunity that we have an athlete team through Girl Scouts. But there was three of us that first year. It takes two people to paddle, so I was the odd man out as the youngest. um, so I no, I was probably very scared going up to New York, because the big regatta is up in New York. It's called General Clinton. It's been around for 50 years.
The Girl Scouts will have their 50th race this coming Memorial Day weekend.
Wow.
That's correct. And you're competing. So, as I said, with the new experiences, it's not just an experience of canoeing. You're meeting teams and Girl Scouts from all over the Northeast, from multiple teams in Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. It's really incredible to go up there and experience it all and see all of these girls with the passion for having the outdoors, because we're camping before we even get out on the water, and being able to experience it all. And then I was, I guess, a rough couple years after that first year. Oh, I guess I should mention it was as the odd man out. I competed my first year with a girl from another team. I was the bow, and I know I was scared. I didn't know who was going to be behind me until the night before the race. And she was from Rhode Island, and we ended up getting second place.
Well done. You made the most of it.
Exactly. Didn't need practice somehow, but we made it out there and we made it down the river. And we know now to have a practice for the team before we actually race. Um, but that was my first time on the river. But
And
it's
Edwina, for many parents, the journey kind of ends after their daughter graduates. What made you want to keep giving back and keep this torch going, and both of you keep doing this together even after Isabella finished in the Girl Scout program as a youth member?
Well, I love the outdoors. I love being on the water. And I saw how what a difference it made in the girls that got out there. I think coming back in the fall of 2020, um, our council was very nice in kind of letting me put together how we were going to safely do this. And just seeing their faces coming back, like they had been dying to be on the water. And I know that we practice on Sunday afternoons, that they really look forward to being there. It's like their time away from everything else, where they're pretty much part of, nature. They're on the water. There's nothing else around them that can bother them. Just seeing a blue heron or an osprey in going by on the water, or an osprey actually diving down and coming back up with a fish in its claws is amazing. Or seeing a sundog in the sky is, a lot of people don't notice these things, but you have to be outside to see them. And it's just the space that it affords the girls to be part of the team, being able to communicate with each other. I think it teaches some very valuable skills. I always tell them, come, there's a schedule, come, because time on the water is important. And those who do find the benefit. And that's what I see. So we've expanded a little bit more than just the reason for the canoe team is to race in the General Clinton Canoe Regatta every Memorial Day weekend. But we do other things on the water too. We like to have some fun, especially in the fall. We finished our fall season, and that's a little bit more fun, not so much, stressed about being able to race. Camping, canoe camping. That's something a lot of people don't get to do. And we did that to False Cape in October, where we paddled down to False Cape State Park with everything in the canoe. And so it's something that a lot of them don't realize, because you're not taking a car. And if you forget something, you forget something. Like we did forget something, and we had to go back and get it. But those kind of experiences, extra trips that the kids ask for to go on, and the experiences, I always like it to have some outdoor quality to it, and Girl Scout experience to it. And I think, just being able to do some of it, sailing off Waikiki and watching dolphins playing, and the captain saying, hey, you want to go around again to see if we can catch him again? Well, it happened to be my son's boat. So it's really nice when you're not on a tour and you can do that. Or, taking a penichette through the Canal Lateral de Loire in France, and taking it through numerous locks, and the girls holding the lines so that you can get from one part of the canal to the next. And just having them empower themselves with what's coming next, and we're making those decisions together. It's not a tour. I don't go on tours. And we're going to Martha's Vineyard this coming summer, and one of the girls asked, "What are we going to do there?" And I said, "Well, you tell me, because it's your decisions, and you're going to decide how this adventure is going to go and what we're going to do." Hiking a glacier in Iceland, or snorkeling between where two tectonic plates meet. I mean, it's just all about the experiences and being on the water, and you can do it. Being in the boundary waters, and canoe camping from lake to lake in the boundary waters was phenomenal. And closer to home, canoe camping for 4 days down the Delaware Water Gap. The girls making the decision, we're going to get up at 5:30 so we can break camp and get on the water while nobody else is on the water, because we're going to be able to see more deer and see the eagles before everybody else can, before the fog and the mist break off the water. It was their decision. We could have slept in.
And I think it's more than all those experiences as well, is that the team is a team. Like, there is this sense of girlhood in the team, that some of these girls are, I mean, you're friends with all of these girls. You're spending so much time with them as a team, and competing. And so you get the highs and lows of that and going on these new experiences. So I think that's all very important. I mean, the team has like team nicknames. All the girls have the ceremony that we do now before we go out to New York as a new team member. old members come together and create a new nickname for them as the team name. And so I think that's important as well.
I'm taking away from this, I was thinking, wow, that's a once in a lifetime experience. That's a once in a lifetime experience. And how powerful that you both have taken time and resources to carve out the ability to have these resources. And even though they're far away places, they're not so far. And I love that this was possible with Girl Scouts and that you're kind of evolving the next generation of outdoor stewards to learn the art of noticing nature. I can really appreciate that. And I'm a little bit green of all of your amazing experiences. I'm feeling inspired. You all both touched on this a little bit. This is an open question. Can either of you share how Girl Scouts has affected your professional life or your personal life? Just some of those things you took away from the motto that you just can't get out of your head.
I think for me, has community service was so big as a Girl Scout when volunteering was so important. I wanted to make sure what I did professionally outside of like Girl Scouts and as a job would somehow impact the community in a way. Like I wanted what I did to like matter. Um, and I think that led me when I first um, went to college with was a civil engineering degree because I was like, oh, civic, it's helping the community, that's what it means, right? And I think that helped jumpstart where I am today and having a job that is in a sense helping the community and building and designing schools here in DC. Or it's yes, it's a job, but it's impacting the community. Um, that I know that there are going to be students or other people in those buildings. Um, I think that was definitely a part of it. Um, Trying to think.
I love that. And Edwina, for you?
Um, for me, it's just kind of part of my life now. The canoe team schedule is what everything runs around, making sure we get the canoe team schedule in when it comes in. I mean, my husband, although he's not at the practices, except when I forget something, uh, he's the one making sure all the equipment's in the car and helping take it out and washing it down. At as I come home exhausted. But it's also the valuable friendships from the other volunteers. I couldn't do this without other volunteers on the water. When we go camping, pulling the trailer, the council lets us take the canoes um, to some other waters because the girls get a little bored with Camp Apices, this little pond. And so being able to go other places and making ourselves visible somewhere else, people kind of look around sometimes and who are you? And so it's kind of nice that we are visible sometimes, and I'd be happy to tell you who we are. Um, Without them, some of them weekly, I really appreciate those. But then I also now have girls that are coming back, girls that are finishing off college now and or still in college that have come back to help. When we went canoe camping to Falls Cape, two of the girls that are in Northern Virginia came down for the weekend to help me out because the group that went out to Falls Cape had never canoe camped before except for the oldest one. And so everybody else, it was a new experience, and they went with me the first time. So um, even the volunteers who were with me had never done it. So it was really nice to have them come back. They come back and help at some of the practices if they're in town. And some of them volunteer to come back to go to the General Clinton Canoe Regatta weekend. And they volunteer for the race itself because the race always needs volunteer sweeps. And those are the people at the back of each race making sure that everyone gets down the river safely.
And as one
This
of
is
those alumni, oh, you,
no,
um,
please, please.
as one of those alumni, it is, well, I'm not actively there every week. I try to be there at least once or twice during the season to go back and help out with the team because I mean there probably is a sense that I miss it a bit, competing and being in that whole experience again. And I remember talking with some of the other alumni who at one point I was their alumni, and we go back and we can see how much has changed and seen how much that team has grown, and just being able to come back and give back a little bit of what we were given as team members, and going back and giving that same lessons we learned then to the girls now.
This is a testimony that what you're doing is working. I think you both embody the spirit of teamwork so deeply, and I love that those who've been on the team have been so inspired by their experiences that they want to come back and pass that on. I just keep seeing this theme of passing the torch and keeping a good thing going. And I love that. Mom and daughter, this has been wonderful. So I'm curious if someone were interested in learning more about the Blue Herons or getting involved, is there any way to do that?
We have a Facebook page under Blazing Blue Herons. I think there's two. Some of the other volunteers keep it up. I'm not the social media person. And you can message us through there. We'll start back in the middle of March. And also, just to get a taste of the Blazing Blue Herons, we host a day by the pound every early spring. And this year it'll be April 11th. I saw it up on the activities calendar. So it's Saturday, April 11th. If you want to make that trek up to Camp Burke's Mill Pond, that's really our favorite Girl Scout camp. And we'll be hosting the event from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. And it's a great way to get to meet the team. The girls run most of it, except the ones that they can't because they're not old enough. Like I do have an archery instructor, but we have fishing. You get to go on the water with the canoes. The older girls get to paddleboard and kayak as well. We'll have an outdoor craft at the same time. It's a fun day and a way to get to meet and see what the team's all about.
One of the
I can
girls
confirm.
now, yes, one of the girls that we have now on the team joined by going to a day at the pond, if that's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's more than one actually have joined that way. It's been our greatest promotion. They see it and then they come back and say, how can we join? So yeah, come out for a day at the pond. I'd love you to see you there. If it's okay to make it one more plug, other than, we're going to be at our 50th anniversary running of the Girl Scout races at the General Clinton Canoe Regatta. The Northern Lakes Canoe Base, one of our alumni who's finishing up at Mary Washington University, she just got hired as the co-director of the Northern Lakes Canoe Base in Minnesota. And I took some of the girls up there, I think in 2019, and she was one of them that went up there. But she was working up there as a wilderness guide for the last 2 years. And one of the other girls who's at George Mason University worked as a wilderness guide this past summer. And then one of the girls on the team went to the guide and training program this past summer up there. And so she's looking for guide and training, but I would highly recommend the Northern Lakes Canoe Base. It's run by the Girl Scouts in the Lakes and Pines up in Minnesota, Wisconsin. And it's one of the best Girl Scout trips I've ever been on. It's wilderness. How else can you? It's the Boundary Waters Wilderness. Boundary Water Canoe Wilderness area. So you're canoeing out in the wilderness. It truly is a wilderness. There is no technology out there. You're just out there with nature. And it's very empowering. The girls I took out there, I saw such a change in them. And in just that 1 week we were there, and what they could do. And they're all doing really fine, right? The ones that went out there. So I'm really proud. I've heard them from all of them in the last just a couple months. So I'm really proud of them.
That sounds unforgettable. I will drop information about a day at the pond and a day on the pond and the other event you mentioned in the description of this podcast episode. I want to thank you both so much for sharing your story with me. And I met you at a Day at the Pond event, and it was a fabulous experience, and I was so inspired, and I loved how girls were getting involved. Many of us their first time out on the water, first time fishing. So I truly thought this was a great story to tell, and I hope everyone is as inspired by your journey as I am. I want to thank you both so much for joining me, and I know we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more episodes like these, visit our website at www.gsccc.org